peace.
Are you happy that it looks like Muammar Gaddafi, the strongman of Libya, looks like he's going down?
Yeah, I hope he will go down. I believe what happened in Tunisia and Libya is very important. And even in Egypt, I hope it will end up being more kind of smooth, passing not kind of idealistic romanticism replaced by an Egyptian Robespierre or Lenin.
Egypt, the new military government that's temporarily taken charge in Egypt, they allowed these 2 Iranian warships to cross through the Suez Canal. How worried are you about that?
I'm not worried. You know, your aircraft carriers are moving through the canal. Our missile boats and submarine went through the canal. They don't have, practically, they don't have any way to avoid the Iranians moving as long as it's a frigate and some support vessel with some cadets on it. It's a provocation. I don't like it, but I don't think that any one of us should be worried by it.
Do you know what the objective of the Iranian Navy is right now in moving those 2 warships through the canal into the Mediterranean?
You know, they had to plan it before the eruption of the recent events in Egypt, so it's part of a wider scheme. If they were bringing rockets or weapons or explosive to the Hamas or Hezbollah, we would have probably acted against them. But they are just coming with weapons on them, but they're coming with cadets, Navy cadets, to visit a Syrian port. It's a way of projecting that power, but self-confidence and certain assertiveness in the region. And, you know, we are a turbulent area, but I don't see a reason to be worried.
Look, you and I have been talking about the Iranian nuclear program for many years, and for many years you've been suggesting that they were only 1 year away from that point of no return, having that nuclear military capability. But recently the outgoing head of the Mossad, Israel's intelligence service, said they might be 3 or 4 years away from having that capability right now. How far away is Iran from having a nuclear capability?
You know, Iran reaching a nuclear weapon or even an explodable device is a major development in the wrong direction. I think that your new NIE and our estimates are quite similar. If all what they would have in mind is to break the NPT and go as fast as they can toward a explodable device put in the ground somewhere, they might do it in a year or so. But to reach a weapon, and in their case a weapon that should be put on a relatively medium size, so to speak, ground-to-ground missile, is something which is several years down the stream. So there is no real contradiction between the capacity to explode some nuclear device in a year if this would become their main objective, and to reach a real weapon that could be put on a ground-to-ground missile probably another 3 or 4 years.
But as I say, you've been saying that now for several years, that they might be a year or year and a half, 2 years away. Here's the question. Was Israel engaged in cyber warfare to try to delay Iran's nuclear capability with this so-called Stuxnet worm?
I cannot answer this question, and I believe you don't really expect me to do it, but it's clear that they had certain hurdles along the way and that they are moving slower than they expected, but the painful fact is that they keep moving forward. They are overcoming gradually the difficulties they faced, and they are becoming they are not get tired of it. That's the real challenge for us.
So these recent hurdles that they have to overcome, these problems, was that, whether or not Israel was involved, do you believe it was the result of cyber warfare?
It could be. I cannot answer this explicitly, but there were many kinds of problems. The fact of the matter is they are continue to accumulate more and more lowly enriched uranium and a little bit of medium level enriched uranium, and they are moving forward, and that should be disturbing to all of us, even if they didn't make their mind finally at what point to try either clandestinely or directly moving toward weapons. But this will happen.
Hello, everybody. I want to welcome His Majesty King Abdullah to the White House, and I am very pleased to be able to return the extraordinary hospitality that he showed me and my delegation when we visited Saudi Arabia and when we visited His Majesty's farm.
مرحبا للجميع، وأرحب بصاحب الجلالة خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك عبد الله إلى البيت الأبيض، ويسعدني بأن أبادله الضيافة الرائعة التي قدمها لي وللوفد المرافق لي عندما زرت المملكة العربية السعودية وزرته في مزرعته هناك.
Since that historic meeting that took place 65 years ago between Franklin Delano Roosevelt and His Majesty's fathers, King Abdulaziz, we have had a strong and strategic relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia.
منذ 65 عاما وهذا اللقاء التاريخي الذي تم آنذاك بين الرئيس فرانكلين روزفلت ووالد صاحب الجلالة الملك عبد العزيز، لقد كانت العلاقات بين البلدين العلاقات الثنائية.
On April 18, the Iranian nation celebrated the National Army Day. The day was designated by the late founder of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Khomeini, to honor the bravery and achievements of the Iranian military. During a special ceremony marking the occasion in Tehran, Iran's President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad accused the United States and its allies of trying to create a rift in the Middle East in order to sell their weapons.
به دنبال ایجاد تفرقه و درگیری‌های منطقه‌ای‌اند، به دنبال تخریب‌اند، به دنبال راه انداختن جنگ بین ملت‌ها و دولت‌ها برای مصرف کردن سلاح‌ها و ایجاد فرصت جایگزینی برای خودشون از یک طرف و بعد هم تخریب و ایجاد فرصت تحکیم پایه‌های سلطه شیطانی خودشون هستند.
Ahmadinejad went on to say that a new Middle East will take shape without the presence of the United States and Israel.
بله، ملت‌های منطقه هم به دنبال خاورمیانه جدیدند. ملت‌های دنیا هم به دنبال جهان جدید هستند. اما خاورمیانه جدید، جهان جدید بدون حضور سلطه آمریکا، بدون حضور رژیم جعلی و جنایتکار صهیونیستی به فضل الهی محقق خواهد شد.
In recent years, Iran has enhanced its defense capabilities and achieved self-sufficiency in the production of major military equipment and systems. Iran says its military might poses no threat to any country and that its defense doctrine is only based on deterrence.
جمهوری اسلامی هیچ گونه اقدام عملی برای اینکه کسی رو در سطح منطقه تحریک کنه انجام نداده. جمهوری اسلامی فقط از خودش دفاع میکنه، از فرهنگ انقلاب خودش دفاع میکنه.
نیروهای مسلح ارتش جمهوری اسلامی و نیرو دریایی که بنده مسئولش هستم همیشه آمادگیش رو در حد 100% نگه می‌داره و آمادگی داره که در هر جایی نیاز باشه از منافعش دفاع بکنه.
Erstmals seit mehr als 30 Jahren haben 2 iranische Kriegsschiffe den Suezkanal passiert. Sie sind auf dem Weg ins Mittelmeer. Ein Kanalsprecher bestätigte das. Der Militärrat, der Ägypten derzeit regiert, hatte die Durchfahrt genehmigt. Der Kanal ist eine wichtige Einnahmequelle für das Land, das einen Friedensvertrag mit Israel hat. Israels Außenminister Liebermann hatte die Durchfahrt im Vorfeld als Provokation bezeichnet. Seit der islamischen Revolution im Iran haben dessen Kriegsschiffe den Kanal nicht mehr passiert.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Our guest is William Hartung. He's the director of the Arms and Security Initiative at the New American Foundation. And he's written a new book called Prophets of War, Lockheed Martin and the Making of the Military-Industrial Complex. Very relevant as this is the 50th anniversary of President Dwight D. Eisenhower's famous address talking about the military-industrial complex role in interrogating prisoners at U.S. facilities from Iraq to Guantanamo?
Well, they bought a couple companies involved in that. Cytex Corporation, Affiliate Computer Services. So they were recruiting interrogators and translators for both Guantanamo, Abu Ghraib, some of the other prison camps in Iraq. They now have said that they're out of that business, but there's no way to document that because they still own those companies.
And do they have much in the way of international sales? I mean, there's the big deal now with China, but in other parts of the world, or is basically the United States, the government, their mainstay?
Well, there's a huge upsurge in weapons exports during the Obama years, up to $30 billion a year now from about $10 billion at the beginning of the Bush years. And Lockheed Martin is right in the middle of that. They sell F-16 fighters. The new F-35 is going to be built in 18 different countries. So a lot of the production will be done overseas, which is not normally the case in a fighter plane, but it's been built into the way this program's been designed.
So the production is overseas and it's being sold overseas, but the U.S. subsidizes the corporation.
Exactly. So there will be some jobs here, but many, many fewer than they would be advertising.
Why under Obama has the weapons exports so increased?
Well, some of it is hangover from the Bush years. The deals were struck then and they're happening now. Part of it is exports are a huge part of his policy. So we just concluded a $60 billion deal with Saudi Arabia, which is the biggest deal ever, mostly beneficial